My first day of school when I was 13, I had to be dropped off by my mom at around 7 a.m. and not walk with my friends because my mom works early every Monday and Tuesday. None of my friends were even awake at 7, let alone would be at school. I tried to make light of the situation though. I was basically here alone, so I thought I would walk around and see where everything is, and possibly learn the building a little bit. There were a few teachers walking around, but it was pretty empty. I wandered over to the girls' changing room. Nothing special at first glance. I took a lap around the changing room and noticed one of the lockers were open. There was something inside. It was a note. I still remember what it said. It said, "If you think about leaving, I will make your worthless life a living hell." It didn't say who it was from or who it was intended for. I was thinking about what I should do next when a teacher who I'll call Mr. Sanders walked in. He asked me what I was doing here, and he said it in a firm tone. But it's funny he asked me this with such suspicion when he was in a girls' changing room this early when students aren't even here yet. I told him I wasn't doing anything and that it's my first day here. I also told him about the note I just found, and I gave it to him. He looked at the note and didn't say anything. He then said, "Thanks for reporting it. I'll look into it." Then he told me to leave, once again in a harsh, demanding tone. The only thing I heard after leaving the locker room was a locker slam shut. I assumed Mr. Sanders just closed it. As time went on, I heard a lot of rumors about Mr. Sanders, like he's a perv and he cheats on his wife, stuff like that. Next year around February, a girl who was 3 years older than me, called Lizzie, left our school. When she left, it was more like sudden and unexpected, and more of no one really knows why she left. And around the same time, Mr. Sanders left. I can't be sure, but honestly, I think the rumors involving Mr. Sanders were true. And that note, the one that I found in the locker, was from him intended for Lizzie. I think on that day, no one knows exactly what went on with both of them, but I have a pretty good idea of what happened. This happened to my son Sam when he was 5 years old on his first day of school. After dropping Sam off, I seen him walk towards one of his teachers. I got back in my car and I drove off. What usually happens is I always drive around the school to wave at Sam before he goes inside. This time, however, Sam wasn't waving at me. Instead, he was walking to a man who wasn't familiar looking. At first, I thought it might have been another one of his teachers. That was until I saw the man grab Sam's hand and forcefully walk him into another direction. I drove as fast as I could around the school towards where the man was pulling Sam, which was the parking lot. Once I drove around, I could see the man pushing Sam into his car. And at that moment, a sickening feeling ran through me, and the feeling that I could possibly lose my son. I drove up to the man's car and stopped right behind him so we couldn't reverse. I was screaming for him to let my son go, and also try to get attention of nearby pedestrians. The man refused to let Sam go. Even though my car was blocking his path, he still tried to reverse and force his way through. Thankfully, he gave up and let Sam out the car. At that point, there were a few more parents there to subdue the man, so he couldn't get away. Sam was unharmed. In the school, myself and other parents were much more cautious about dropping their children off at the school. The man was arrested and charged with attempted kidnapping and reckless endangerment of a child. It makes me feel sick thinking, what might have happened if I never looked twice to wave at my son, and he was taken from me? And what's more disturbing is that the man was actually a father to a little girl who was the same age as my son.